This was absolute men against boys. Atleti were fantastic. Real Madrid was shocking.
Pero no hay excusas. Estamos dolidos, como está la afición, en un derbi, una derrota merecida.
And I said I was a bit worried that they were going to be boringly good, that they were going to be good this season in a way that just denied opponents the chance to create any chances, that they weren't going to allow anyone to even really compete with them today. And today we saw the complete opposite. We saw an Atletico Madrid team that went right through them.
5-2 to Atletico Madrid. They were sensational. Real Madrid were awful.
Hansi Flick has just been hit with blistering criticism from Lewandowski's fellow countryman, who's clearly angry and frustrated over the striker's reduced role. He even went so far as to publicly demand that Barcelona fire the German coach. But before we dive into this hot topic, we need to talk about the stunning 5-2 thrashing Real Madrid just suffered at the hands of Atletico. Barcelona now has a chance to take over the top spot in La Liga after Real Madrid's 5-2 loss to Atletico. Xabi Alonso's team has lost its unbeaten run this season.
Look as if they're not playing as a team. It's very much an individual basis. It's very much, hopefully Kylian will score a worldie or Vinny Jr. will do something outstanding, which they will do, and they'll get away with it a lot. But I thought they didn't perform as a team today. One team performed really well as a whole, and that was the team that were victorious. And let's be honest, they scored 5 and they missed a good few. The chance where Thibaut Courtois makes a great save from Sorloth. Sorloth after 2 minutes, he could have got a hat-trick. This could have been more. This could have been really chastening experience for the team in white today.
The game was heading toward an even heavier scoreline than 5-2. It was humiliating. This slip-up from Real Madrid came at just the right time. Today is the day for us to beat Real Sociedad and move to the top of the table. Craig was furious with Xabi Alonso. He looked like he was about to cry on air. Hurt by his beloved team's defeat and watching Barcelona on the verge of overtaking them in the standings, he held nothing back, blaming Alonso for the well-deserved loss and questioning his use of Jude Bellingham. All of this plays perfectly into Barcelona's hands.
Well, we could talk about the defence and all those little pieces there from the guys on site. They did. And if for those that saw this game, the first 45 minutes in particular, any cross into the box, and there was a lot of them, Real Madrid were at 6s and 7s. I mean, Huysen he could not handle Sorloth. Even Militao, with his experience before he went off, he could not handle the ball into the box. So that was a huge worry for them. I think a lot of this is on Alonso as well. And what if you're Mastantuano? Right? And I think this tells you a lot about the mindset. Here we have a young man, and he is a young guy, he is inexperienced. But here we have a young man who's looked hot at the start of the season. He's looked on fire, he's looked cocky and comfortable, and he's looked to create things. And you have your first big domestic derby of the season, and he leaves him out. He leaves him out. It's away from home, so you think, well, away from home, maybe he's having a little bit of a panic up. But he brings in a guy in Jude Bellingham that's had, I think Ian Dark said, he's had 21 minutes of football in what? 2 months? 2.5 months? Going into a derby away from home? He's not ready for that. He's not ready to come into a game of that intensity. And I'm not blaming Jude Bellingham, but you're basically a man down. So when you're a man down in midfield because he's not fit enough, then that puts pressure on the other midfielders. That puts pressure on the back four. And
last season, Real Madrid were already conceding plenty of goals and chances from aerial balls. Atletico simply did what any well-drilled side would do: exploit the centre-back's poor communication and positional fragility. Atleti showed this isn't about one player, but a structural issue of system and defensive organisation. Alonso compounded things with tactical and squad management mistakes that left the team even more disjointed in a decisive match. Starting Bellingham, clearly lacking match fitness in a derby of this intensity, was a serious miscalculation. The midfield was effectively a man down, unable to control the tempo, press or protect the back line. With Gabi and Koch, Atletico dominated the central area with ease. Subbing off Güler while leaving Bellingham on only highlighted Alonso's lack of courage to correct his initial mistake or his preference for big names in poor form over players performing on the night. He prioritised hierarchy over merit and current form. Real Madrid showed an excessive dependence on individual moments. This wasn't just a bad night, it was the exposure of a series of defensive, tactical and management flaws that the more experienced had already anticipated. Hopefully Hansi Flick watched the game and has begun plotting attacking tactics to exploit Real Madrid's weaknesses in the first derby. The 5 goals conceded make it clear this Madrid side is vulnerable and Alonso has serious problems to solve.
Why is he Why is he going super defensive? Because they could score 5 and they could score 6, but that is their DNA. And the boys were right. They could have scored 6, 7, or 8 today against this Real Madrid side. So this was the humongous kick in the backside that maybe Xabi Alonso needed for some of his players, but maybe also 1 or 2 of his players looking at Alonso as well and going, okay, so I'm delivering for you, but when the big game comes, you're going back to the so-called tried and trusted, even when they're not fit. So a bad day all round on the field and off the field for Real Madrid.
The longer they take to fix those flaws, the better for us. Craig's face said it all. He really didn't like what he saw. Alonso would be better off not watching that ESPN clip. It lays bare how badly his tactics failed and just how disappointed Craig is in him. Former Polish goalkeeper Jan Tomaszewski has launched a fierce attack on Hansi Flick, saying Barcelona should sack him and not extend his contract. Although Flick is only in his 2nd season, having won the domestic treble in his 1st year and already reached 50 wins with the club, Tomaszewski considers his work on the bench insufficient. Barcelona have a squad built for the Club World Cup, which he didn't even take part in. Without a doubt, they have a squad for the Champions League, the most important trophy. Unfortunately, the coaching staff should see out the contract, and I hope they don't extend it because the German isn't doing very well. He cannot continue. With such a footballing weapon, he should have won everything in Europe, and they lost to Inter, a good team, but that 5-0 final against PSG exposed them, he said. It seems Tomaszewski is frustrated with something in his own life because his criticism of Hansi Flick is completely out of proportion to what Flick has delivered in such a short time. Not everyone comes into a club as demanding as Barcelona and wins major trophies right away. Flick took over a rebuilding Barca, won the domestic treble in his 1st season, stabilized the side, and already has 50 victories. The loss to Inter was a disaster, yes, but it served as a lesson, and there was dubious refereeing as well. Flick's merits are clear, and we, the fans, see no reason to sack him. Tomaszewski is veering into personal territory. His criticism stems from Robert Lewandowski's reduced role at the club this season, as well as the Pole's absence from the 2025 Ballon d'Or top 10. I think Lewandowski should have been in the top 10, but there are players like that, and it's like arguing whether Easter is better than Christmas. The winner was undoubtedly a controversial player, but he won the Champions League with his team, and it would be crazy for someone outside that level to win the award, he said. Should Lewandowski go to Saudi Arabia? This isn't the first time Tomaszewski has criticized Barcelona. A few weeks ago, he even advised Lewandowski to leave the club and move to Saudi Arabia. Before La Liga had even started, after watching Barcelona's pre-season matches, he declared Robert should end his time at Barcelona right now and go to a club in Saudi Arabia like the best players in the world have done, except Messi. Let's be honest, this is the end. Robert isn't very popular in the team, and the best players at Barcelona don't pass him the ball. I think Tomaszewski is clearly taking it personally. It's normal for a veteran to lose some prominence as new talent emerges. That doesn't mean the club or his teammates are against him. On the contrary, Barcelona, Lamine and the rest fully support Lewandowski, and there's a healthy harmony in the dressing room. Frankie de Jong's pass for Lewandowski's beautiful recent goal proves that Barca's best players look to him to score. He was the club's top scorer last season, and of course, he didn't do it all alone. His teammates help and respect him. Lewandowski is still an important part of the squad and under contract, but whether he stays or goes to Saudi Arabia is his decision, not that of a resentful ex-goalkeeper. Barcelona continues with its project and doesn't take decisions based on outside pressure.